Good morning to all our esteemed panel of guests. Today, we are going to start the webinar on a series that we have started in the Department of Library and Information Science at Sambalpur University in association with the Alumni Association of the department, named as Alumni Knowledge Sharing. And in that series, we are going to have the first webinar today. We have designed the format in such a way that there is to be a close engagement of the alumni with the students of the department and also the alumni of the department. I welcome at the outset to all the guests today in the panel. We have special guests, two special guests who are the founders of the department, Professor B.K Choudhury and Professor K.C. Panda. Professor B.K Choudhury served almost three decades here at Sambalpur University as a teacher in different positions, and he was superannuated in the year 2008, and he served as the professor and head of the department. He has a lot to his credit. More than dozens of research scholars have completed their doctoral research under his able guidance, and he has publications at national and international level journals and other conference proceedings and book chapters. One of his books on non-book material, cataloging of non-book material, has been regarded as a textbook across the country. He is an excellent academician, highly regarded researcher, and a very popular teacher of the department. We are so happy that in the first webinar of the Alumni Department Symbiosis, he has graced the dais with us. And we have with us Professor K.C. Panda, who is also a founding teacher of the department. He is known to all the students and research scholars as a taskmaster. He's so meticulous in his approach, may it be teaching in the classroom, may it be guiding the research. His research contributions is immense to the field. Has been internationally acknowledged, and he has published a number of books, papers in international journals, and he has been an institution builder. If you look at the discipline, order, decency, and the business, then it is Professor K.C. Panda who means all this. Sir, we owe a lot to you as a body of alumni to this department, and thankful that you have present in the first event itself. Welcome to you, sir. We have with us the two eminent speakers today, Dr. Y.S. Rao and Dr. B.B Chand. Dr. Y.S. Rao, his Y. Srinivasa Rao, he is a deputy librarian in the School of Planning Architecture in Vijaywada, and Dr. B.B Chand is a deputy librarian, Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore. Both of our proud alumni. They are going to speak on Y.S. Rao today will be speaking on research integrity, governance, human transformation, and services, and Dr. B.B Chand will be speaking research data management, opportunities, and challenges for the libraries. With us in the session, we have the president of the Alumni Association, Sri Premraj Mishra, who is a senior manager in the information services at TISCO Jamshedpur. He has been a constant support to the department. And with us we have the teachers of the department, Dr. Savitri Maji, assistant professor, and Dr. Bikram Kishore Beura is an assistant professor of the department. My dear alumni members who are attending this conference, this webinar through YouTube, all the participants, invited guests, and all others who are visiting online to this webinar. As you know that alumni are brand ambassadors of the institution they are graduated from, and the alumni community have really realized that it is not only a nostalgia that associate them with the alma mater, but it's much beyond that. And our alumni at the Department of Library and Information Science, Sambalpur University, has proved that they have gone beyond. From 2008 onwards, every year we have been organizing the annual alumni meet. But it's a social network and social connecting each other, the students and alumni. But they are also engaged in serious activities like taking classes, training them with the latest technologies, sharing their knowledge from time to time, constantly mentoring them for their dissertations and research projects. They are also guiding them for their future career and counseling them. And as you know that an institution alumni are the reflection of its past, the representation of its present, and link to the future. Realizing this fact, we thought of having during this particular time when we are restricted with our activities owing to this situation arising out of outbreak of the pandemic COVID-19. So we thought that our students to link up with our alumni in such a mode online, where in each session, two of our alumni will be invited, deliver their lecture, take training sessions, workshops, so that they can be seriously engaged with the academic and research activities. Our alumni has been successful in fundraising, placement activities, mentorship and scholarship, career guidance to all our students. So, with this much of brief of our alumni activities and the department, there is a coherence between these two, and constantly we have been exploring how the alumni can support us more and more. So with this, I would now would like to request our the president of the Alumni Association to make a brief of the topics that we are going to discuss today. Then we will go to our guests to listen to our guests.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. Respected Choudhury sir, respected Panda sir, respected Bulu sir, my friend Dr. Savitri, Dr. Bikram, today's resource person Dr. Rao, Dr. Chand, those contributing to organize
Sir, some network problem is there.
I'm sorry for getting disconnected for some time. So those contributing to organize this session on research ethics and integrity and data management, Jayant and his team, and all esteemed audience connected through online. Postgraduate Department of Library and Information Science, Sambalpur University is the first LIS school in the state of Odisha. The DLIS Sambalpur University introduced one-year bachelor's course DLIS in the year 1976 with a sanctioned intake of 16 students. At the time, 50% of the seats were earmarked for in-service on-trained librarians. 3 years after its inception, the nomenclature of this department was changed. The nomenclature of the department was changed, and from library science to library and information science, as per the suggestions made by the UGC in the year 1976. The course curriculum was restructured, revised, and upgraded to match the quality and standards elsewhere to cope up with the latest advances made in the field at the international level. The pass out alumni of this department are associate with the department and formed this alumni association. The first annual general body meet was held on 30th November 2008 during the first alumni meet of the department, where the first exhaustive annual report is presented. Since then, the alumni meet the alumni meet is organized every year. The department organizes seminar conference closer to the day of alumni meet to attract more number of participants. For the first time, the best DLIS SUN award was conferred the alumni based on personal contributions achievements in the second alumni meet on 29th November 2009. This is to note that under the able guideship of our teachers, the Department of Library Information Science, Sambalpur University has produced many PhD scholars well placed in India and abroad. I feel proud to mention here that every year many of our alumni are qualifying NET, JRF and getting well placed in government organizations and corporates. Many old and new students of the department gather to share their sweet memories with their batchmates, juniors and seniors on the day of alumni meet. Every time cultural programs were organized by energetic freshers of the department. Some of our alumni members are frequent visitors to the department. They contribute through their knowledge and expertise to support teaching to the young budding professionals. The knowledge sharing sessions is also an approach towards it. In the next session of our alumni members will join to share their knowledge and expertise more relevant to the current scenario and make our budding professionals future market ready. Our alumni members are showing significant improvement in their respective professional front, whereas our association is running shortage of fund. I urge everyone to disburse their moral duties towards the alumni association. We have several plans to implement through our alumni association and requesting our members to come forward and contribute generously so that we can see better vision for the association and its proud members. I wish a great success to the ongoing knowledge sharing sessions and involvement to our alumni members in the large number. On this present topic, research ethics, integrity and data management, I don't say much because we have two eminent speakers. So this is from my side. Over to you, Bulu sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Premraj, for giving a brief but exhaustive information about alumni and its activities. Now I request Professor B.K. Choudhury sir to please address the students, alumni and all others who are participating in the webinar and to encourage and motivate us. Professor B.K. Choudhury sir, please. Janta, is there any problem?
Chandra, is there any problem?
In sound something.
Basically. No, but this was the
Sir. Sir, it's all right. Please, sir, please.
Very good morning.
Contact.
Very good morning. Very good morning.
Professor,
very good morning.
Very good morning.
Professor
very
B.B
good morning.
I would request you to please speak a few words to motivate all of us. Please.
All of us.
Sir.
Subhuji. Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Subhu, sir. It is audible.
Subhu.
Sir.
Hello. Yes. Go. Okay. Good morning to everybody.
Yes. Okay. Good morning to everybody.
I am highly thankful to Professor B. Maharana
I am highly thankful to
and the alumni members for conducting such a high level, very useful, informative, and educative lecture of series. And I am also express my heartfelt thanks to the alumni members who have actively participated, and they are giving chance to the juniors to enlighten the how to face the information handling of this information explosion, and so that they can manage the library efficiently. Okay. So for today's topic, Mr. Rao will give a talk on research ethics, governance, and etc. So everywhere research ethics means it is a code of practice and procedure for achieving the highest level of research in an organization or in an university. So every university also guided by this, but it depends on the research scholars and the supervisors and the administrative body whether the research is conducted in an efficient manner or not, or any misconduct is there, or a lot of a lot of copy is there. So there must be some conduct of ethics and procedure. And this your research ethics and research integrity means it is also governance, how to conduct the research and the project undertaken by the researchers, and preparation of the questionnaire, and the minimization of the risk of the data. So everything looks after that institution, because there is a committee, and every research scholar in the foreign countries, in Oxford University, in Manchester Metropolitan University, they have very rigorously, they have adopted that all the research scholars must go for research integrity course. It is a must. Also, when I talked a few months back in a national seminar, the social science research, trends in social science research in India, some indicators and assessment. Nowadays in India, a lot of PhD theses are being submitted either by the compulsion of the UC or by the NEC, without sacrificing the quality of the thesis. Whether they have consulted the impact journals, whether their articles have which impact factor, nothing is so regulated in India. But if you will think in other countries, today also I have seen in California University, there they have to take the online courses for 1 year or 2 years. So that is about the Mr. Dr. Rao will focus elaborately about the research ethics and its governance. Then coming to Bankim B.B. Chand's topic on resource data management. Resource data management, it is a group consisting of the staff of that university, staff of the support staff and the library staff. They have made a committee so that all the data must be secured, and they have to see the legal aspect of that data and how the data will be have a free flow inside the campus and also externally. So resource data management also plays a very, very important role, and the librarian's role becomes more doubled. So all these things will be focused very detailed and elaborate, and it will be highly helpful to everybody. Thank you very much, Professor Maharana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving the keynote on the topics to be discussed today, and also encouraging the alumni functioning of the department. Now I'll request our Retd teacher, Professor K.C. Panda, to please speak a few words on this occasion.
Am I audible now?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Professor Panda, please.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, okay. Thank you, Dr. Maharana. At the outset, my gratitude goes to the Professor Maharana in particular, and all the organizers and the president of the alumni for organizing such a beautiful webinar on a topic of research interest. You know that research methodology fall under the ambience of my domain of interest. So here, when I saw the topic, that it is a club of, that's an amalgamation of ethics, integrity, and data management. So here, I think I'm happy that two of the distinguished scholars happen to be our students. They are alumni of our department. They're going to speak elaborately. I don't want to take much of your time. But here, I would definitely would like to draw your attention to the PM Cook author, who is an authority on this subject, who defining research, he said that if you analyze the PM's acronym research, that 6 to 7 alphabets, each signifies a meaning of its own. Carries a meaning, but out of that 7, he said that is the honest, exhaustive, and intelligent searching for facts and their meanings or implications with a reference to given problem. That is what he precisely defined. These 3 important, words signifies very much, and it is just revolving around the topic of the research that you have decided today for the seminar purpose. Now, first come to the research ethics. Now, I would like to only just touch each of the ingredients so that people can understand. Ethics. What is the basic purpose of ethics? What does it help? It helps to develop the scientific research ability by the scholar. Now, I would like in this connection, I would like to draw the report by the Belmont, a famous report. Belmont, he has made certain guiding principles of research ethics. And in that report, he mentioned that there are 3 domains or areas of research ethics. Now, what are the 3 principal domains? He said justice, which means to the work, and justice to the audience. The scholar must do justice to the work that he has carried out, and justice to the audience he must give to the audience, means your intended audience, for whom your output is intended for. And second one is beneficency. What is beneficency? The quality or state of doing or producing good. Here I would like to draw your kind attention to the PVM, the best author on the social research methodology. I think my students would be able to recollect now in this platform. So what he said, the very basic purpose of research, any research you talk about on social science, primarily deals 2 things. That is academic, for the purpose of sake of satisfaction of degree, about which we are not concerned about this. This platform is not concerned about this. The second aspect is utilitarian purpose. Yes, we are very much concerned about this because your topic hits to that. So here, 3, that is, it must have an utilitarian value, meaning that the output which you produce as a scholar must be helpful to the society at large. And here, Now, the question is, we understand what is the ethics. A lot of authors have described the ethics that the scholar should not be biased, the data should be relevant, it should be precise, and so on and so forth. There are array of issues. Number of, parameters have been fixed by different individuals and institutions of research. But the question now, very careful, you all should be attentive to this. Now, how would the traditional research ethics apply in the virtual realms? I leave particular to this question to my young students, alumni, social scientists to introspect in this platform. That is my precise point here. Now the question is, research ethics, for example, involves requirements. Yes, I am able to hear the Professor Choudhury. Research ethics involve requirements on daily work, protection of dignity and subjects, and the publication of information in research. So there are three basically ethical issues in conducting research. One, the informed consent, because it must be explicit, not implicit. Informed consent. Beneficence, same what I have already told, that the quality of the state of doing or producing good, and your product should not harm anybody. And respect for anonymity and confidentiality, that we know, all of us. Respect for anonymity and confidentiality. And fourth one is respect for privacy. So these are the almost 4 important ingredients or parameters one has to keep in mind while carrying out research. Now come to the second aspect, integrating. So here what I precisely mean, integrating does not necessarily means that the person's individual capacity, habit, probity in public life. Here integrity also means, in the context of social relevance, in the context of social research, ethical, legal, technical issues in the platform of research. That is what I precisely mean. Now here, but if you look into the guiding on research integrity, in the entire Union of European countries, there was a comprehensive study made by S. Godetale, B. Nameri, and K. Dericik. So they conducted a study, analyzed about 49 official guidance documents of scientific integrity in the social research, covering about 27 countries of this European Union, plus 4 countries of the European Free Trade Association, like Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, and so on and so forth. But you will be surprised to know their findings are purely heterogeneous in culture. Why it is called heterogeneous? They found that not one list of principles of one country or one group of individuals of social research or one definition on is identical in any 2 of the guidelines except for Denmark and Norway. That means what it shows. The entire comprehensive study shows, conducted by covering of 27 countries, regarding the integrity aspect or ethical aspect of social research, that not 2 countries of principles of 2 countries are identical to each other. Means the ethics, the standards, the principles, the methodology, the way of preparing things, but guidelines for the social researchers are varied, many, and diverse and dynamic. They are not uniform. They are not consistent. Do you understand? So that is why it is varied. So that means it is a way of living things for interpretation. Now the guidelines you find, particularly for integrity, primarily advocates to meet various possible actions to prevent misconduct. That is what ethics precisely mean, to prevent misconduct. Although some are acknowledged that total prevention is impossible. The committee also found that prevention of any unethical issues like plagiarism, etc., is completely unavoidable. It is very difficult to detect. So, for example, one Swedish guideline qualifies continued to carelessness as misconduct. He said, carelessness of a research scholar, a social researcher, amounts to misconduct. Whereas Finnish guidelines consider carelessness as less serious than the fabrication. Do you understand? You are fabricating facts, and which is qualified as fraud in true sense of the term. So the notions of intention, negligence, or deceit feature explicitly in certain definitions of misconduct, although the establishment of intentionally is acknowledged to be difficult. It's very difficult. Because how could a person could come to know the things that you have done, the errors that one has noticed in the output of your research is deliberate or accidental one? That is very difficult. the committee have acknowledged this. So the Memorandum of Scientific Integrity published a document by all European academies and others. That is a very important document of studies on integrity. Now, European countries are not yet united when it comes to guiding scientific principles of integrity. The entire European Union Committee on Social Research, they could not find any uniformity, any consistency throughout. And they find that the guiding scientific integrity of all these countries, for example, studied is not uniform. So that is why it is left to the individual's perspectives. Individual countries, individual social researchers, a group of researchers, it is completely left to their concerns. So that means it is completely complex and a state of influx, that how to detect, how to follow a single unitary principle, very difficult. However, the individual scholars and the guides and the respective universities, parent universities, or social organizations, whatever you may call, or the funding agencies, you have to follow the perspectives, the objectives that has already been set out by these institutions to follow. Now, question of data management. Now, this is another third important aspect I found in the notice. So, what I mean data management, the researchers must have a better understanding of the landscape of data management requirements that can be used. Unless and until the social researchers understand the landscape, informed by available resources to craft an appropriate response to the growing importance of curating research data, he will be or she will be a failure one. So there are different models. I don't want to go through its details. One example is Objective Protocol Model, popularly known as OPM. Or what is OPM? A suite of data management tools based on OPM. It actually works one day.
Sir, may I request, sir? It's brief, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'm coming to that. Now, these are the different. Yes, these are the different models which I don't want to come into across. But one thing, there are three cardinal principles. What you should precisely, I will say before I take leave. The cardinal principles of management data in social research was data must be accessible, data must be citable, data must be reusable. So, to conclude with, I would like to say to all of you that it is likely that the funders will increasingly require that researchers make explicit their plans for managing this data, including provision for the storage, preservation, and access to high quality, well documented digital data. Do you understand? In this online realm. So this is my submission. Now I leave the dash to the Dr. Maharana to carry out the further business. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry for being a little bit lengthy, but this is my area for research. That is why.
Let me tell you, anyway. It feels like it is not only me, everyone here. They feel like we keep on listening for hours together as we are doing in the classroom. But this online platform has a limitation, so therefore I'm sorry. I had to intervene in between. I'm so sorry for that. But it was really highly informative and very insightful information that you shared. As usual, that you do it. Now we will thank you so much. Now we'll proceed further with our speakers today. So first of all, Dr. B.B Rao, and to introduce Dr. Y.S. Rao before his presentation, I request my colleague, Dr. Savitri, to read out the citation.
My esteemed teachers, Professor Panda, Professor Choudhury, Professor Bulu, sir, senior alumni of the department, Mr. Pradhan, Mr. Mishra, my colleague, Dr. Beura, and Dr. Chand, and Rao, sir, for resource person of the day. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Y.S. Rao, sir. And Dr. Rao is working as Deputy Librarian at the School of Planning and Architecture, Vijaywada. He has about 20 years of experience in the profession of librarianship, and he worked at National Institute of Technology, Raulkela, and Defense Studies and Analysis, New Delhi, in different capacities. Dr. Rao was awarded Doctorate Gold Medal and Merit Scholarship in the field of library and information science. He organized many national and international conferences, workshops, etc. He has also published in reputed journals and delivered lectures in various forums. He has been assigned various academic responsibilities like Chief Warden, Nodal Officer, National Institute of Ranking Framework, Deputy in charge for JOSS, CSAB, Online Counseling, Local Coordinator GIAN of the Institute. Apart from this, he is very able and dynamic leader. It's my pleasure that I have already worked at NIT under his able leadership. We are so happy to have you with us, sir, as a resource person of the day. With this brief introduction, I welcome you for your deliberation. Over to you, sir. Rao, sir.
Thank you, Savitri, and distinguished professors, Professor B.K Choudhury, sir, Professor Panda, sir, and Bulu Maharana, sir, Professor Bulu Maharana, sir, and other my colleagues, Savitri, Misra, and Behro or Chand, and other colleagues, and my dear alumni students. It's my great privilege and happy to be here to share my knowledge, and I especially thanking the organizers for giving me an opportunity to speak about research ethics, integrity, and data management series. And I'm very happy to share my knowledge in this concern.
Yes, sir, it's
Visible to
visible.
everyone?
Sir.
Visible. Today's my topic is rights. Right means research integrity, governance, human transformation, and services. My agenda, today's agenda is research integrity, research misconduct, plagiarism, citation and citation style manual, governance, and human transformation, stakeholders in academic integrity, community services, conclusion, and references.
Rao sir, can you make it presentation mode?
Yeah, I'm just making it. Now it's okay, visible?
Yes, sir.
It's visible to everyone?
It's visible.
Huh?
Yes.
It is a silence which others are not visible. It's okay? My speakers are not visible, right? Okay?
No, they're all visible.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, research, research you all know. It is a systematic study of to solving the problems, right? So our journey, research journey starts with questions to answers. And we all experienced, and we are all, many people are mentoring research, and we all spends a lot of time for framing the questions and formulation of hypothesis and collecting information, and you a lot of time investing on accumulation of knowledge by using various resources. Either you can go to the library and collect the information, and go to the library to collect the data, or go to the workshops to learn something, or any skills from the mentors, or this is one kind of a time, your research, entire research span of time, you are accumulating just knowledge. You're finding a question, you're finding a question and answer, finding the answers. So the questions and answers are not the only solutions for entire research of today. Why I mean to say that we're all end up with answers, but what is the impact? What is the implication of research is in the societal is or none in many areas of social science research. So we need to focus on the societal implications and what is the impact out of your research. So we all know that it is a systematic and logical approach of research. It is a scientific procedure, and it's nothing but a finding a new knowledge and using various tools. And we generally focus on, there are research made, there are two types of research generally, fundamental research, extremely applied research. The fundamental research mainly talk about the theory. It's you are inventing only knowledge, not something new. So it is existing knowledge, you are enhancing the existing knowledge which is available today. So by experimenting your theory of knowledge. So whereas applied research comes to the application to the knowledge and solving the problems. So it gives a quick results in time. Whereas comparing to the pure science, if you research, it will not give immediate results. So in this, there are a lot of research methods and research designs you need to apply. We are talking about research design, exploratory research, or descriptive research, or whether it may be experimental research. Where you talk about the plan or research method, and what kind of research method you are applying into your research area. This is very much essential. We need to understand with you need to, with the permission of, with the person, with using research ethics and codes. Then we all know what is really integrity. Integrity means nothing but a honesty, you can say. It is a combination of both moral and ethical behavior of an individual who can deliver his decision or her decisions using his consensus, internal consensus of moral behavior and external obligation of ethics. So whether it is right or wrong, it is immaterial. Whether you are doing it positive or negative, whether somebody is seeing or not seeing, it is integrity. It's like a practice of making honest. So say an example, we are all come across traffic signals, right? We are all going by traffic signals. We are entering the, by green signals, we are entering the traffic signals, and we are stopping when red signal comes. So assuming that in this example, there is no cameras, there is no police observing us, then what is your integrity? What is your consensus saying that? This is called your integrity. When you follow the, without knowing, without observing anybody, you are practicing your thing with using ethical external obligations, then it is called a really integrity of human being. So in this, the same context, it's a research integrity, means it is an intellectual honesty while creating, generating and communicating your research. At the same time, reviewing or publishing or disseminating your research activities, which leads to a creation of intellectual property. The same way, the academic integrity defined by the UGC 2018, it is an intellectual honesty in proposing, performing and reporting any activity which leads to the creation of intellectual property. So the integrity is so much important for an individual, for an organization, for any country. So the main factors for the integrity to increase your values. So the value is, each one is very important for an individual as well as an organization. The values are honesty, you must be on honesty, trust, respect, fairness and responsibility. These values are very much essential to improve your academic activities or your personality that will affect your individual life as well as institutional life. So that will impact your life, that impact will institute impact or transparency recognition, reputation, and ranking. So ultimately, the main motto of this commitment and contribution is very much essential towards meeting your best societal needs by using your vision and mission. So what is the academic integrity? What is the values? How it's reflecting to visibility? Honesty, we all know, it is a fundamental for education, research, innovation, training, and services. Be truthful to all in creating, communicating, reporting, reviewing, and disseminating knowledge legitimately. You must be very truthful to everyone. You have to be very open to everyone, to your colleagues, about your integrity. And you have to show your integrity by sharing your, disclosing your research outputs openly and truthfully. So at the same time, trust brings a positive energy to success. It creates inclusive environment for mutual understanding and sharing ideas, knowledge, and expertise to meet their academic goals. Respect is the honor that cannot be expected but earned through a participating process of learning, teaching, and research. By doing and learning, fairness is a legitimate code of conduct to provide a standardized policies, procedures to implement equally, irrespective of race, religion, gender, etc. Last one is responsibility. Responsibility brings liability to empower a change by sharing and collaborating resources in transparent and cost-effective manner, and also helpful in taking honest decisions toward building an enriched academic system. Visibility, how it reflects to visibility. It will impact your individuality, impact your institution. It is an effect that changes in behavior of any particular issue, social, cultural, socio-cultural, political, and economic, and health, etc. Outcomes of the research in the form of visibility drawn through publications, patents, and citations. Transparency, how it's transparent the system. Transparency is a process that brings a positive energy to showcase your intellectual straightforwardness, openness, honesty in operations. Recognition, it means acknowledging of intellectual works that gets cited and validated by your peers. Reputation, it's a kind of social recognition for your hard work, honesty, and integrity. Ranking is a kind of promotion, evaluation based on the certain parameters. So these are things, values are very much essential to make the entire institution visible. What is research misconduct? Research misconduct means violating the code of conduct. The fraud is happening everywhere. It's all space of entire world. It means wherein it's fraud is happening in various volumes and shapes, scales, and sizes of spectrum of your research. According to US National Science Foundation defines 3 types of scientific misconduct. One is fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. Fabrication is making your data. It means you are manufacturing the data which is not invented of yours. You're just making a data, you're making results and reporting it down. Whereas falsification of data is you are producing false data. There is the false data which is very error, which is not at all giving a credibility for your research. The third one is plagiarism. Plagiarism is very much severe today. It is claiming an author, it is my own it's copying somebody's work and claiming that he is my own research. So this is apart from the three scientific misconduct types. MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, adds one more: deliberative interference. It means that deliberately it is spoiling the research, whether you are manhandle or whether research infrastructure spoiling or many kind of things. So there are four items which is types which has been created. Take the example of scientific misconduct in this: biomedical and life science research articles indexed by the PubMed and has been retracted on May 3, 2012. Why? Because 23.3% of restrictions were error. 67.4 retractions were attributably to misconduct. What is the misconduct in this? Fraud. Suspected fraud is 43.4%, whereas duplicate publication is 14.2%, whereas plagiarism is 9.8%. When you look at the another example, which is given by the tutors James Wells and Rhodes, 2008, it is given. Repairing research integrity. It's published in Nature in 2008. It's suspected misconduct. They have taken sample of 201 cases observed by the 164 scientists. In the type of misconduct is fabrication or falsification is 120 out of 201. 120 scientists, 120 research samples are fabrication and falsification, whereas plagiarism 73%, 73 samples, whereas unknown is 8. Rank those suspected. It means another one is professors who are all the do the misconduct. The professors and senior scientists are 44, and associate professor and scientists are 28, assistant professors and scientists 34, postdoctoral fellow 50%, and graduate students 29, and others are 24. Similarly, how it was discovered: directly observed is 23, observed by products 53, and told first then observed 60, other direct evidence 30, others 30, don't recall 1, no answers 1. Was it reported? Yes, reported by respondent 49%. Yes, reported by someone else 67%. No, not reported 75%. Don't know 5%, and no answer is. So this misconduct is everywhere. There is a. So therefore, we need a certain course and principles, norms we need to adhere. So you look at these examples of patent and journal articles, what I given. You see the Dr. Suman K. Das and Harihar P. Kole. He has patented in 1993 and filed a patent: use of turmeric in wound healing. It means the patent is filed in 1993. Then CSIR has filed a case against the Das, saying that it is a traditional knowledge of our ancient Indian culture, so it cannot be patented. So they filed a case based on the evidence of ancient Sanskrit test and 1953 paper published in the Journal of Indian Medical Association. In this, use of turmeric is healing the wound. It means it's already turmeric powder is already healing the wound. It's already is a established truth of traditional knowledge of Indian. It cannot be patented. So he filed in 93. It was granted by 1995, but based on our complaint, it was retracted from the US Patent Office in 1998. Similarly, there are so many retractions happen in the world. Journals are taking back, because you can look at the last 10 years, the number of articles restricted by the journals had increased tenfold, from 44 in 1997 to 488 in 2016. It is published in Science 2018. So the two examples. The major then is plagiarism. It's an act of fraud. What is the really plagiarism? Defined as a presenting someone else's work as one's own work. No acknowledgement for this source. So what is the common errors and most common errors? People are do citation errors. People are just like that, citing without following the proper formats. Notes taking. People are while guide explaining something, they are writing something. So that is also common problem. The honorary authors means there is no contribution from the other person, other authors, but the namesake, by the guide sake, they are putting their names. I'm not talking about the guide, but some colleagues, which they are not contributing anything, but they have given an authorship. This is honorary authorship, also common problem in India as well as abroad. Most common thing is self-plagiarism. People are putting their research papers again and again and showing that this is my work. And patch writing and paraphrase. People are doing paraphrasing work. And verbatism and word-to-word direct copy. Why plagiarism happens? Mainly inadequate knowledge, lack of time, academic assignments, full-fledged academic assignments, and academic pressure, lack of academic counseling. Because of this, people are doing fraud of, doing plagiarism. How to avoid? Simply, there are 2-3 techniques. Generally, they're saying that quoting. When you write, you have to quote the entire thing within word. Whatever you are copying, you have to quote it. Otherwise, you have to paraphrase the entire thing. You have to change the word. Dr. Rao is saying so and so like this. We have to paraphrase it. Similarly, summarize whatever the author is saying, that you have to summarize and put it. In 3 ways you can put it. So at the same time, you have to increase the academic counsel about the research integrity and scientific misconduct. And you have to say the plagiarism is a rooted problem. You have to throw it out from the academic system. Peer review process. This is all happening in the, so we have to maintain the most peer review process in every aspect of your publication. Experts and translators. When you are taking your expert decisions, and you as it is, you have to mention it. Otherwise, it will lead to problems. At the same time, translators, whatever they're copying, you have to put in the same translator word. You should not be copying it. And detecting softwares, various tools are there to detect your plagiarism parts. So therefore, like Turnitin, Urkund, detect your softwares, detect your copying parts. So copyright permission, you need to take a copyright permission at the same time. So whenever you go that, a moral statement is, under no circumstances should any person plagiarize another's ideas or writings. So in this column, you need to put as a moral statement. So citation and citation style manuals. We all know that there are 2 types of references generally we come across in our research publication. And we are giving a sources of both published and unpublished works. And we are giving a numbering system and paraphrases. Many publishers are giving a numbering system. Many are parenthetical systems also using it. Parenthetical means we are giving author name, comma, 2018 like this, year, author and year, author name and year. So similarly, there are number of citation styles. For example, American Chemical Society and Association of Institute of Physics and Association of Physical Society and Chicago Citation Manual and IEEE, Vancouver and NMLA, many kinds of. These are American Psychological Society. There are number of citation styles which have to be followed by the different publishers, and the author should follow whatever the publishers are saying it. The citations means to acknowledge your author works. You have to respect the author works always, so that you will need your academic honesty. It's showing your honesty, integrity, that will automatically repute your life. So what to cite, what not to cite is important. What not to cite is your own work is need not to cite. Your ideas cannot be protected, you cannot be cited. Thought process cannot be protected, you cannot be cited. And your research findings, you cannot be always be cited in your research paper. So common knowledge means it's already, common knowledge means like India, like city Vizag, like you can say Sambalpur, it's a common knowledge of everyone. You cannot put a citation for it. So what basically you have to cite? So authenticated record, you have to see the authenticated research journal article, or permanent record. It may be a database record or traditional knowledge, like using turmeric powder. I said, it's the traditional knowledge of us. See, you can use that, cite it. It's a publication of ancient history. So it's a publicly available knowledge, can also be a part. It's open. It's publicly available knowledge also can be cited. So what is the governance role in this research part? Generally, the governance refers to structures and processes that are designed to ensure accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, stability, equity, and inclusiveness, empowerment, and broad-based participation. It's given by the UNESCO. So when you write a research, when you propose a research, what is the governance role? What is the institutional role? What is an individual of a researcher role? At the institutional level, when you talk about leadership, is very much essential to make a beautiful research, to make a beautiful discovery. And accordingly, the research design could be a more attractive and approachable to do mere and development at the same time of your drug development. Similarly, a development could be any kind of development towards your product, processes, and services. At the same time, the product can be disseminated and discourses publicly. So the leaders are very much essential, should have a vision and mission to think for further research process and development. Certain policies and procedures they should make. Every institution should have a certain policies and procedures to avoid a scientific misconduct and protect your intellectual integrity. At the same time, you have to pour funding and you have to see the welfare of the society at the same time. The decision making of the leaders should always be a part of your management and give as quickly and strategic decisions timely, and it would be fruitful for the entire society or the institution or individual. At the same time, you have to be respect of the accountability for your entire research work. It will gives you a transparency and visibility. So the research part, whatever you are doing, the government's role or institutional role is very much essential to improve your research activities in the institutional wide. So human transformation, how the human transformation is involved in research activities. This is very much in we are all doing a research activities held up with only question and answers. It is not going to the public, but except the social science and computer science research. Mainly, the social science research is not at all reaching the public mainly. So when you look at the human enhancement from the all sectors, the research areas we can talk about: healthcare, science and technology, science and engineering, technology, energy, environment, economics, business, and social science, and any other disciplines. We need to do a lot of research that will not only improve our social and political activities, but also generate economic viability. So that transhumanism is Julian Huxley in 1957 is written is that a human should not be stand in one point. He has to be updated at every level. It has to be step by step. He has to be updated on his own. So the entire theory says that is upliftment of the future growth and development. So the transformation of research, change in the human life is very much essential. And look at the very, very tough and very worldwide research. Mainly the science and technology and the computer science is much more advanced in the research areas. You can see many research areas, especially nowadays, they're working on no aging, no age for the humans, and they are even trying for the no death. And they are also trying synthetic blood to complement our human blood. And similarly, the artificial retina giving to blind people to give a sight. Similarly, another one is paralyzed brain to giving to humans to a computer chip. So artificial brains into cloud. In future, they are giving our artificial brains into the cloud. This is the human enhancement in all sectors. So the human research activities and integrity will promote the aims of research by disclosing your new knowledge, new findings, presenting facts, and avoiding of errors. At the same time, it's promote values. Values means honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility that are essential to collaborative work. To ensure make researchers held responsible to public. This is very much as all researchers, everything is held responsible. Whatever research you have done, you should not be responsible for the public. Ensure the public support for qualitative research. Always the public, if you are doing qualitative work, people always giving a positive support and energy, always giving to you and supporting your research. And protect your research and prohibited the fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. At the same time, last one, to promote a variety of other important moral social values such as societal responsibility, human rights, animal welfare, compliance with the law, and public health and safety. So these are every research is need a public impact. As human change, human enhancement, it will lead to human enhancement. So who are the stakeholders involved in research integrity? So you can look at the scholars who are writing the research papers, who are creating, communicating, at the same time reviewing and resubmitting and resulting of research openly. They are very much essential to concentrate on research integrity and research ethics while writing your research papers and communicating them and reviewing at the same time. So similarly, you have to put your research should be open, always public disclosure for public debate. And funders, there are funders available, allocation of grants, giving allocation of grants based on quality and reliability of research. There are people, there are institutions offering funding for your research. If your qualitative research, if people, the funders will always put forward to make your research more visible, more economically viable. At the same time, publishers are involving in the research activities, research submissions through their publications, filtering, using this even artificial intelligence they are using for filtering the data and finding the faults and detecting the duplication works, and this reviewing and publication, at the same time dissemination of creating various dissemination platforms for in various forms, maybe various formats. Similarly, the librarians and libraries are also equally participating in promoting scholarly content acquisition and preservation and IP or intellectual
Dr. Rao,
property and training.
May I request?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I will complete. The government agencies also equally playing a major role in ensuring the safe security humans and other living beings, transparency in taxpayers' income. Whistleblower is always there to alert you about your research. Deliberations and positive criticism are always an unquestionable research. Institutions should always create an inclusive environment, ecosystem for research and development and policy formulations. Finally, the community services are very much essential to lead the research more success. When you look at the environment, what is the impact of your research on the environment side? At the same time, what is the energy efficiency research areas? And the technology is much more focused today, is giving more socially challenging or even sustainable today. Through using very sustainable or platforms in using the social networking sites. Healthcare is very much essential. You always concentrate on public for. And food and nutrition at the same time, code and ethics are always important in the public service. Education and research, you always keep an eye always in education and research point of view. At the same time, you have to increase the economy and employment, safety and security of the public. At the same time, business, and you have to increase the entrepreneurship for their societal improvements. The conclusions is, research is a systematic and organized way of study to solve the problems. Research types including qualitative and quantitative research. Research design is a plan to answer the research question, and research method is to implement that plan. Preservation and promote academic integrity and protection of intellectual property. Commitment and contribution toward meeting the academic values, mission, and vision. Academic and scientific misconduct is in all shapes, scales, and sizes from all spectrums. Citations, tools, and techniques play a crucial role in research writings and publishing. Greater advocacy and counseling is utmost priority to encourage academic research. Efforts to avoid academic and scientific misconduct and plagiarism. Governance refers to structures and processes that are designed to ensure the accountability, transparency, and responsibility, etc. Human enhancement from all sectors. Stakeholders play a key role in promotion of academic integrity. Community service is essential to meet the citizen roles. References, few references, and thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. It was really a very informative and insightful, in-depth, and very extensive presentation from your side, and it was presented in a very kind of effective manner. I hope the participants and those who view this video can take the use of the information that you have given. You extensively covered all the aspects of your talk, including the research integrity, governance, both at the government and the institution level, and at the personal level as well, and the outcome of the research process in the form of human transformation, various aspects of it, and finally, the role of different stakeholders. The whole thing together can give you what the meaning of real research is. So thank you very much for your nice presentation and being a part of this webinar. Thank you so much. Now I'll request Dr. Bikram Deora to please read the citation and introduce Dr. B.B Chand for his presentation.
Thank you, sir, for providing me this opportunity. Esteemed senior professors of this department, Professor Panda sir, Professor Choudhury sir, respected Bulu sir, respected speakers of this session, speakers of this program, Dr. Y.S. Rao sir, Dr. B.B Chand sir, and senior professionals connected to this platform. My dear colleague, Dr. Savitri Maji Madam, and my dear students. So it's indeed a great pleasure for me to introduce the speaker of this session. He is currently working as a deputy librarian and head Dr. B.K. Rao Library, Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore. He has over 20 years of professional experience, and he was earlier associated with IIM Indore, US Library of Congress, New Delhi, and NCAER, New Delhi. Currently, he is heading Dr. B.K. Rao Library, Digital Library Project at ISEC. His primary research area includes digital library, research library, social science, information, data curation, open data and linked data, government data. Today he is going to speak about research data management. Really, it's a great topic. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, to present your topic. Over to Dr. B. Chand, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Beura. Is it all done now? Can you hear me? Is this presentation visible?
Yes, it has come. Now come.
Okay. Thank you. Respected Professor Choudhury, Professor Panda, Professor Bulu, Dr. Maji, Dr. Beura, and Premraj Mishra, and my dear alumni friends. It's my immense pleasure to be part of the webinar and share my thoughts and expertise. Thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity. I'm going to present on the topic research data management, opportunities and challenges for the librarian. As I am working for a social science research institution, and we do have to handle quite a lot of data, I thought I have some experience over it, and I would like to share that with you. To move on, research cannot flourish if data are not preserved and made accessible. This is the editorial comment from Nature. Okay, so unless and until you share the research data, the new research are very difficult to come by. Large scale data is being generated now during the research process, and it is expensive and time consuming. Considering this, now funding agencies are making it mandatory for a data management plan along with the open access to scholarly communication. If you remember, when the scholarly communication movement started in the early 21st century, it was the research papers and research reports which were given more importance. But of late, it was observed that unless and until we share the research data openly, the new researchers are difficult to come by. Considering the research organizations need to provide not only the structure and policy for research data preservation, but services to support and educate researchers on concept of data management and promote the sharing of data sets that can often be vital for continuation of research. Data is one of the basic input for any research, and at the end, it is one of the byproduct also. Huge investment is required to gather, process, and bring the data to a usable form. The recent development in information infrastructure, investment on data, and the open access movement has compelled the researchers and the funders to reckon more return
on investment from the research data. It is only when the research data managed properly and shared openly among the research community, the true value of the research data will be realized. The sharing of research data and reusing the same data for further research has been supported by both science and social science research community. So what exactly do you mean by research data? Data are facts, numbers, letters, symbols that describes an object, idea, or condition, situation, or other factors. This is from National Research Council USA. Again, it's a reinterpretable representation of information in a formalized manner, suitable for communication, interpretation, or processing. An example of data include, sequence of bits, a table of numbers, the characters on a page, the recording of sounds made by a person speaking, or a moon rock specimen. Likewise, any information that can be stored in digital form, including text, numbers, and images, videos or movies, audio, software, algorithms, equations, animations, models, simulations, etc. All these are example of data. So what are the types of data that we consider in a research world? It can be divided majorly into the 6 categories. Either it is observational. The major characteristics of observational data is, it can be captured real time and usually irrepressible. Examples are census data, survey data, sample data, and neurological images, etc. Because that cannot be, replaced again. What is gone is gone. That same moment cannot be recreated. Whereas in the case of experimental data, it is largely lab equipment created one and often reproducible, but can be very expensive. Sometimes this large hadron collider data, all these are very expensive projects which cannot be created all the time. Examples you can see: gene sequence, chromatogram, stored magnetic field data, etc. Mostly used in the scientific experiments, but now experiments are started in social science as well. Then you have this computational and simulation based data. Data generated from test models, where models are metadata are more important than the real output, because output can be created again and again, whereas your metadata and models are the core. Your climate data models and economic models are the examples. Then you have this derived or compiled data, basically data that is reproducible but expensive. Text mining, data mining, and compiled databases, 3D models are the basic examples. You have reference and canonical data. These are conglomeration of collection of smaller data sets, most probably published or curated. Gene sequence data banks, chemical structure, and spatial data portals that you can see. And last but not the one is the records, that is basically coming from the governments, available as reports largely printed in digital form, administrative documents, and business records. This is all what we are talking about, the research data that is available for research considerations. So research data may include anything and everything related to the research, from the initial project note to the final report is part of the research data. Data recorded from the field in questionnaires or organized data as SPSS tables or are research data. Once we know the research data, now we should know why the research data need to be shared. Sharing research data has long been discussed and recorded for the advancement of research itself. Many publishers like Nature Publishing or American Naturalist, even American Economic Associations have inbuilt policy guidelines associated with sharing research data. Once you submit an article to these journals or the organizations, you have to submit data as well, because they want to see the integrity of the research and they want to recreate the situation, how the experiment was being done. If you see, many articles now has a data component attached to it, as I mentioned. Research publications associated with data sets will bring in more transparency and to the research itself. the expanded use of research data not only provides substantial benefit to the research community, but also to the society as a whole, with increase in the quality and efficiency of research and innovation. So these are the major benefits of sharing research data with the community itself. So we'll discuss one by one. Basically, scientific proof. Publishing research data along with research papers can allow others to reuse, replicate, validate, or correct your results, thereby improving the science and scientific process. I'll give you one very latest example. Recently, this Russia came up with this vaccine, you all know, but the data was not released along with the vaccine, and people were very skeptical about the vaccine itself. So it is very important that any research that is being published should accompany the data with it. Certainly, sharing the research data enhances the research impact. When the data are made available for the researchers across the globe, those work done by the collectors and sharers will be the one to first cite it. And then people will know what is the motive of this data, and this will enhance their citation of the data and the original research that has been done by the sharers themselves. Promotion of use of empirical data for policy decisions. Now, as many of these data are already available, the policymakers want to decide on any issues based on strong evidence. Because more and more data is available, it compels the decision makers to opt for a policy decisions backed by research-supported empirical data. It provides authority to the decision makers to choose the best policy options available with them. Improvement of measurement and data collection methods. It helps, in how the data was collected, and how, if there is any improvement that is required, can be done only when the data is made open. Other people or researchers access the data, and we receive the suggestions, and based upon that, improvement can be made. Data preservation. Preserving research data for future use is an important aspect of data curation and sharing. Largely, when the data is shared, it is well organized and well documented. Centralized preservation will facilitate best information infrastructure to the individual researchers. The next one is new research ideas. When researchers see data, they think new research that can be worked out from the data that is available to them. When a research is mooted, people need to see first what kind of data is already available. And once they come across a good data set, they can think of new research and what kind of gaps are there in the existing research that is available or already been done from that data set, so that the new research ideas come up. Last but not the least, making publicly funded research available publicly, that is open access of research data. The major funding agencies throughout the world now wish to see the data management plan along with the research proposal, because access to data has a direct impact on research output in any subject. Considering the real and visible age, the sponsoring agencies are focusing more on sharing data as well, along with the scholarly communications that we have already. Okay, so this is all about what is the importance of sharing research data. So what is research data management? The DCC, that is Digital Curation Center UK, defines research data management as the active management and appraisal of data over the life cycle of scholarly and scientific interest. So research data management is nothing but collection, organization, preservation, and sharing and archiving of research data for better research ecosystem. Here, if you see, it talks about the life cycle of data. So what is the life cycle of data? So this is the research data management life cycle. Here we have 8 segments. Generally, it starts from planning of the research project, and within that, the research data components come. What kind of data is required? What is already available? What is not available? And what can be collected? What should be the method of data collection? Like that. Once it is being done, then you move to the field or experiment, whatever it may be. You collect the data. Once the data collection is over, the same data need to be processed, purified, and then you make the database. And once the database is ready, you analyze the data for the questions that are being already asked, whether the evidences that are being gathered from the data supports that or not. After that, you need to manage it. After this analysis of the data, the real data management starts. You need to manage, you need to preserve it, and while preserving, the role of librarian really comes initially at the beginning with the planning stage, but later on from the management, preservation, sharing, and reuse, where the librarian has a bigger role. Managing data means collecting all the resources that is available with the research data and put in one place, and whatever is not there need to be created at that point of time, or it need to be requested from the research project team. And once the basic management is done, it need to be preserved. Basically, the technological aspect here, we are talking what kind of software need to be used, what should be the rights, who should be the users, who should be the administrator, what will be the workflow, all sort of things. Then come the sharing of the data. Once it is preserved, you need to make it public, so that people should people should have access to the research data. And once they have access, they will start reusing the data for future research. So what is the role of librarian in this research data management? Tinopir, Birch, and Allard have mentioned that research data services are services that offers by the library to researchers in relation to managing data can be include 2 aspects. One is informational, where consulting with faculty, staff, or student on data management plans or metadata standards, or providing reference services for finding and citing data sets, or providing web guides and findings aids for data and data sets. So this is actually the informational service part of research data management by the librarians. And then the second part is the technical services, where the librarians need to provide technical support for data repositories, preparing data sets for the repositories, and accessing and deselecting data sets if required from the repository, and creating metadata for the data sets. Whereas OCLC has added actually virtually one more, though it says 3 different nomenclature, but the role is more or less same. If you see the expertise and curation and education, the expertise and curation, expertise is the information services where you have decision support and customized solution for the specific data management problems, and curation is the technical infrastructure and related services that support data management throughout the research cycle. They have added this education, where the librarians need to raise awareness of RDM importance and encourage RBM skill building among the researchers, and disclose RBM tools and resources to the research community. So what are the opportunities for librarians in the research data management? If you go to that research data cycle, we can see these are part of the research data cycle itself. The planning of research data, managing research data, preserving research data, sharing research data. So what is this planning of research data include, and how librarians can be part of this data life cycle? The planning process of research data starts while preparing for the concept node itself. The library can facilitate research data that is already available in the proposed with a detailed descriptions, which will be very helpful for the researchers. Measure research output from the available data, facilitate quick and easy literature review, and will help the researcher to know the gaps that they can concentrate on. Managing research data require skills related to data organization and clear understanding of data. Here you can say version control and file naming, all those things. While data management library needs to work closely with the research team so as to gather much details available about the data, especially the file manual, coding manual, data filtration process. This will help enrich the data with necessary details for clear understanding of the curated data. While preserving, this is where the library is going to play a major role so far as data management process is concerned. Many libraries have already involved closely with researchers for open access to scholarly communication. We are already doing that mostly. The deep knowledge of metadata, librarians can enrich the data sets with value additions, which can facilitate easy discovery over any platform with respect to desired data. Clear understanding of digital repositories will help establish stable repositories of data. Apart from this, awareness, the librarians need to create awareness with the researcher to share the research data for their own benefit and the benefit of the research community, so that the research that has already been done will be put to use, and the data that is already available can be used for further research. The librarians can do training in this respect to the researchers who are already engaged in this large research project of collecting data, so that they can manage their data more easily and can be made accessible after the research over, or while ongoing as well. And data curation policy. Library can take the lead role in creating institution-wide data curation policy, which is important for sustainability and will service a guide for the research community as a whole. Okay, what are the software tools that is available for research data management? Here I have listed 4. There might be many more but need to explore, but these are being extensively I have used personally. So that is what I am going to give you a little data about that. First is that data force network from Harvard University. The Institute for Quantitative Social Science has developed a software called Data Horse Network to store basically the primary data that is being collected from the field in the area of social science, but it can be used for science data as well. There is no harm in it. Like that, the other one also, the National Data Archive, NADA, by International Household Survey Network, is also developed for social science survey network related data. And NISTAR is being developed by Norwegian Social Science Data Services. And MOSPI is currently using it. I'll show you a snapshot. People are using this space as a software tool for research data management, but there are this space was largely developed to share digital documents. So there are some differences which is there, which has to be managed in a different way. See, this is the Harvard Dataverse, which you can see. This platform was developed based on the Dataverse network. And this is data share, as I mentioned, by Edinburgh University, and they have used this data share based on DSpace itself. Here we have National Data Archive by MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and they share the data, or they have developed the data repository using this NADA by ISHN. And there is one more, ICRISAT. ICRISAT is also using Dataverse to use it as a repository software for their repository. So the basic metadata that is being used for, while exploring research data management, we need to know what kind of metadata because available, so that we can explore more and we can describe the data that is available with us. The first one is the most popular one among all this data documentation initiative, and three databases, as I mentioned here, Dataverse, NADA, and NISTAR. All of them are using the DDI, and it is continuously evolving. So that can be, one can easily consider that as one of the benchmark for data documentation, metadata for data documentation. Like that, you have, OAI, ORE, and QDEX and Premise from Library of Congress used as metadata for, data preservation. The last one is actually majorly for data exchange, and it is more of the tabulated data that is being shared between the international organizations like World Bank, IMF, UNESCO, which collects data from each countries to reflect on their different statistics. To move on, I'll just show you what we have done, what kind of data we have at our library, and what we have done for research data management for a glimpse. We have quite a lot of data in social science research, which are largely collected by different agencies. We earlier used to procure them, but now mostly it is available, freely as well. So we have databases from National Sample Survey Office. There are 4 categories of data sets that you can see. Then we have databases from Indian Institute of Population Studies. Then we have databases from NCAER, and we have our own database as well, which are being conducted, here itself. So these are all unit level databases, basically survey data that is being large scale surveys with, lakhs of household which are being, covered under this service. So what we, for our repository, we thought using this Dataverse because that suits to our requirement. Dataverse, the advantages are basically, you can store both basic and the Dataverse has both basic and advanced searches are available across all the Dataverses. Within a Dataverse, it generates formal data citation, how you can cite a data, but that is available with even DSpace also. Files uploaded, you can upload any file, any kind of file like SPSS data, or all can be uploaded, and you can do analysis within the database itself, within the repository itself. User roles for contributing and reviewing, clear roles are defined for users who can contribute, who can review, and who can approve. These are also largely there, but there are these are the 2 issues which I think is very important. Study restrictions level, you can create who can have access to this data. Okay, while a study is ongoing, the researchers may not feel very comfortable sharing the data, so they can have an embargo, and it should be available for the those who are part of that research project. But when a research is completed, the data can be made public, and everybody can have access to this data. Like that, you have study templates. If when I am uploading similar kind of data, the pre-filled data can be a pre-filled metadata can be made available with the study templates. So these are some of the features that we thought might be very useful for research data management. briefly about the software. It was started, it was first release was in 2008. Latest version was version 5, and it used largely JDK, Postgre, and instead of Tomcat, Apache, they are using Pyra. But when we installed, they were using Glassfish. We had a older version which we are using with CentOS 5 and Glassfish with PostgreSQL, of course. Once we finalize the software, we move on to data preparation and uploading, because most of the data need to be collected. We need to check whether all the files are there or not. There are coding manuals, as we said. Then there are questionnaires one need to see before extracting this data. So all these things were collected, and then special efforts were made to acquire the desired information. Whatever is not available, SPSS data, CSV file, Excel files were uploaded. For each classification of template was saved for future metadata. If I suppose I am using a NSSO data, I can create a template for NSSO so that most of the records can be recalled as and when required. Once the studies were created, it was mapped to respective classification for easy search and browsing. This is what we have created a small database of small repository of unit level data that is being procured and made available at ISEC for the research community. But yeah, as I mentioned, it is purely internal, because most of data is being procured by us and not by generated by us, except one. So once you are generating the data, you can share it with the outer world easily. So this is the each dataverse can have multiple data. Each dataverses can have multiple dataverse, like as we say, more or like the community and collection in this space. So dataverse is a community, and within that there might be many databases, and each studies have different set of different rounds of data. So this is the ISEC data library that we have developed, and this is each metadata. Here you have cataloging information. Then you have here you can get the data and the analysis. You have to upload the data here, and if there are comments that are being raised by the researchers, that will reflect here. And here you have versions. These things are actually missing in the this space. That's why we thought if there is any change in the data, one version of the data sets will be created, so that at a later point of time you can go back and see how many times the data are being edited and different versions are being created. Okay, this is how we manage research data at our institute. But what are the real challenges for sharing research data or research data management as such? The data sharing culture, that itself is the major issue. In that sense, those who collect data not wish to share that data that easily. In that sense, unless and until it is a data sharing research project itself. I give you one example. There is one India Human Development Project, IHDP, in NCAR, where the research project itself was to collect the data and made it available for the research community. So as soon as the research data is available, it is made public, so that people should be able to access it and do research on that data. Simultaneously the research team can also do, but the other researchers can also work on this data. But for the large research, this is quite easy. But when you are coming to a small researchers doing individual research, we need to make them aware that while sharing research data will enhance their research impact itself. So that is one of the aspects, as we have discussed earlier also, making researchers aware about the sharing of research data. Likewise, the data security, everybody is very skeptical about their data security, how secure will be their data, that in the long run, whether it will be able to preserve or not, those kind of thing. Like that, the challenges is the privacy. Mostly when at least dealing with human subjects, privacy is a major issue. People should not be able to identify the subjects. Okay, so that's why the ethical committees are there who looks into the privacy issues of research data and which need to take care before being shared with the public. Technical issues are quite common in any data management setup. What kind of data is available, what is the size of the data, how it will be uploaded, how need to be preserved, and the issues of backup. So all those things are part of technical issues which one need to address before moving to the creating archive. And data description and organizations need to be. The major issue with the data is that the data should be properly organized before being made available, so that the other researchers should be able to or use that data, able to understand the data. And the librarians can also create awareness, as I said. So that's why you need to plan yourself to train the researchers and spread the words. The skill gaps, there are a lot of skill gaps among the librarians itself, which they need to develop their skills, especially on this research data management skills, metadata and software tools, so that these challenges can be addressed. And the institutional support is also very much essential when you are creating any new services for the researchers. Okay. Conclusion, basically. To conclude, librarians as data managers are well accepted by the research community. With the wide exposure to digital resource management, we, the librarians, are going to play an important role in the research process. Researchers' desire for new data drives creation of new data that needed to be curated for wider access and preservation. Open source software such as Dataverse Network is well architected to cater the needs of both research community as well as data managers. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you so much. Before we'll take up the questions, actually, I would like to say that it was simply an excellent presentation with loads of information, and it was sequenced in such a manner that it added a lot of value to it. Actually, I remember one important quote by T.S. Eliot, that where is wisdom we have lost in knowledge, and where is knowledge we have lost in information. And going one step further, we can say that where is information we have lost in data. Of course, data is so much important because the entire credibility, authenticity, and the value of the research is based on the data itself. So for a long time from now, we are not bothering to have to store the research, to manage the research data, but it has now become a part of the academic and research life cycle. And Dr. Chand, you have been excellently explained the whole process, including the life cycle of the data management process, why data management is so important, what are the data management systems that are open source and other proprietary data management systems are now available, and what basic and the most important is how it is important for the librarians. What is the role of librarian in the process of research data management? That is very, very important. So we are entering into a new role of the librarianship, and thank you so much for giving such an insightful presentation. Both of our presenters, both of our speakers were simply excellent today, and they've really made this program a success. Now we'll take some of the questions that many of our okay. Sanat Kumar Behera. His question is how librarians working in small libraries can contribute in achieving research integrity and educate researchers at an initial level. I think this question is for Dr. Rao. Yeah. Mute, unmute. Please. Yeah.
I think very good question asked by the Sanat Kumar Behar, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful because the small libraries means librarians who are working in the small school libraries, like kind of things. And research integrity is there is no barriers for the colleges, schools, nothing like that. No, anybody or individual or institution should follow the research integrity. It is your ethical concern as well as moral concerns. Both, I said earlier also, it is a both moral as well as ethical concept of the internal consensus of moral as well as ethical means external course and conducts you have to follow. Therefore, for there is no system of a small and big. Every institution should follow certain norms and regulations to promote your research integrity or research activities.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. It is a very appropriate answer because at any level, this integrity, it is not, the school is lesser information is integrity.
But he asked one more, that how to improve, he asked. That improving means you have to create awareness programs by saying and awareness programs one side, and you have to create a code of conduct policies and ethical policies for the research improvement, so that it will be increasing your library activities and research activities in the libraries.
I think we actually, to add something, actually, we need to create a culture right from the beginning, from standard 1, when students learn things from books. So they should be, the learning experience should be arranged in such a way that they're not only parroting whatever is there and remembering and actually writing down in the examination, but there has to be some element of innovative thought coming out of the information they're getting from the books. Not exactly the same, but it is adding to their thought process. A culture like that has to be created. So therefore, gradually, we need not actually be depending upon a system to detect that what are the common things that are available, what are the common content are taken from different sources. So I think, so we'll take the next question if there is anyone asking. Okay. It is for Dr. Chand. Do you have a research data management policy for your institute on collection, preservation, and dissemination? And if yes, is it publicly available? This is by John Kumar Tripathi. I am Ranchi.
Policy as far as data management is concerned, we have a data bank also. But I think first of all, most of the data that is being generated from the projects are being owned by the project itself, and the principal investigators are still not very vocal about their data to make it public, except only when the funders say that the data should be public, then it is made available publicly. Of course, if you are only talking about the policy, yes, the policy is not available publicly, but some of the data, as I mentioned, there is one aging data set that is the data that is available from ISEC is available publicly, but on request, and it is not like it is shared openly, anybody can download, but they can always approach the principal investigator, which is freely available, and they can share the data. So the data were not put in any platform yet, but yes, certainly there is a policy which the preservation and data dissemination is there, and as far as collection is concerned, that is the role of library. Okay, we are collecting data from the different agencies, and as and when required, mostly from this NSSO or NFHS, like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question from Dr. Savitri also, I believe, where she is asking what is the status of RDM in India in the private chat.
Okay, okay.
Okay, just to respond to that, when this this data sharing or making available of research data, it was started sometime in 1998, when this IHDP data or this NFHS data or this data from I'm talking about social science research library, because I have more exposure to that. So they started this IHDP and the NFHS were made available freely to the research community. But this MOSPI data was available at a price. Okay, but still the data was available, made available. Because otherwise, still that point, hardly any data were available. We were using mostly secondary data. This is I'm talking about the primary data which were made available. And where we are talking about this research data management, we are largely talking about telling about the primary data. But again, in 2019, MOSPI also made the unit level data made available freely in India for researcher in India as well as elsewhere. Okay, and they have developed this platform, as we said, the NADA and like that. The ICRISAT has also the unit level data for the research community, and they have made that data available. Anybody can download and they can publish their research for the larger good.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So we'll take another question, and then I think all the questions will post it on the YouTube, and we'll request our speakers to answer on the their cell. We'll take one more question by Dr. Nihar Kant Patra. For Dr. Chand, is there any possibility to manage voice data? Which office software is the best to visualize data?
Voice data. See, anyway, it's a part of qualitative. When qualitative data is being collected, it's a voice recordings only, right? When you collect the data, so you have MP3 files. So that same file can be treated as a data set, and that can be part of the it can be stored, it can be preserved, and it can be reused.
Yeah.
If I understood correctly his question.
I think Dr. Nihar must have got its answer, and I think with this we will close, because there are a number of questions, and certainly I request both of our speakers, if they find some time, and then relaxedly they can answer these questions. They're all available online. So proceeding towards the end, I'll now request Sri B.B Pradhan for proposing a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. Respected Professor B.K. Choudhury, sir, Professor K.C. Panda, sir, Head of the Department, Professor Bulu Maharana, sir, Honorable Dr. V.S. Rao, sir, Dr. Chand, sir, President of the Alumni Association, Mr. Premraj Misra, Dr. Savitri Maji, and Dr. Vikram Beura, and my fellow alma maters, friends, and participants. In these different COVID situations where all the regular teachings and learning methods are changes drastically, all of us are facing great problems. Considering this problem situation into a opportunity, our Alumni Association puts its holistic effort to conduct this lecture series on knowledge sharing, as many of our alumni have good knowledge and expertise and experiences. So through this lecture series, all of us can share our knowledge, expertise to continue our learning process and explore new ideas and knowledge. We have requested and also continuously requesting our alumni to join in this knowledge sharing process, and many of our alumni members already agreed and joined their hand. We have put forward an holistic attempt to initiate all-round discussions over this knowledge sharing session. So this knowledge sharing session could not be possible without these valuable contributions of our alumni members. So we record our appreciations to all of the speakers who delivered their lectures uh, and already delivered, and in future they will be delivered. We are very much thankful for their contribution to this lecture series. On behalf of these alumni associations, we are extremely thankful to our beloved teachers, Professor B.B Choudhury sir, Professor K.C. Panda sir, for their kind acceptance of our request to be here with us for this inaugural session today. Sirs, your participations and advice and guidance means a lot for us. All our efforts would not have got the right color without constant and support and motivation of our beloved professors Bulu Maharana sir. Sir, you have always been a pillar of strength to all of us, and this event is a testimony of our regards towards your visions for Department of Library and Information Science. Thank you, sir. We are also thankful to Dr. Marji and Dr. Bulu for their constant support. I would like to apply my heartfelt thanks to today's invited speakers for this session, Dr. Srinivasa Rao sir, who has given a nice talk and deliberate and explained deliberately on research integrity, and Dr. Chandra for his wonderful lectures on research data management. So, these topics will be helpful to all these alumni students to gain knowledge. I would like to thank the President, Mr. Misra, for his great effort to design this program. We acknowledge and appreciate these participations of our own alumni, members, friends, and students. Finally, it is my humble duty to wish all of us safety, secure, and good learning times. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I now add one important thanks to the the person who is in charge of the technical of technicality of this online platform, Mr. Kumar Sahu, who is MPhil student, passed out, and now he's pursuing his PhD in this department. I must thank him that he is so meticulously planned and executed the technical support for this program. Thank you all of you. Had an excellent experience with all of you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.